There is no behavior that I've ever seen that robs people of their motivation, of their light, of their creative and mental bandwidth more than the procrastination, guilt, and shame cycle. And hi, I'm Tiffany Carter. I am a fellow procrastinator. And I know those of you who have ADHD or complex PTSD like myself, or other things going on, maybe super high stressors in your life, and you've not been able to manage those stressors, we end up procrastinating more and getting in this cycle deeper. And it's like being in this quicksand. And the more you hate it and the more you want out of it, the more you sink into it and the more you end up in a freeze response, and on it goes. Well, these unconventional ways, and I can guarantee you literally have never heard of these productivity hacks before because you're listening, to a fellow crazy. And I've had to come up with ways in order for me to show up and get things done and basically manipulate this brain of mine into doing what I need to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have what I have today. And you can implement these immediately. And I know they're going to resonate. We don't do anything basic over here, okay? So, time to get productive in a way that is actually going to work with your brain, where you're no longer feeling like you're now doing another chore, because we know that's not going to work. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. And today's episode is dedicated to my fellow procrastinators, my ADHDers, my wild multi-passionates, my people who are just so intense in the brain that it's what makes you so brilliant, and you have so many great ideas and so many things that you want to do, but it's also the thing that stalls you. It's the thing that keeps you stuck. It's the thing that keeps you frozen. And we can't have this. Now, I realized I was unwell at some point in my entrepreneurial journey early on. My first business that I still have, I have had for 16 years, is an 8-figure business, and it is very heady. And what I mean by heady is it requires a lot of concentration, a lot of strategy, a lot of wordsmithing. And, we do digital marketing and branding in the health, medical, pharmaceutical space. And there's a lot of constraints when you're marketing in the health world. There's a lot of things you can say. There's a lot of stuff you can't say. And that's part of what I find fun about it. It's this puzzle, but it does require a lot of focus. And even though I have people who work for me and I'm really doing the overarching strategy, I'm not having to execute all the things, but I do have to present them. And this is where a lot of people pay me to speak. And these multi-billion-dollar companies, I come in and do strategy. You've got to be sharp. You've got to be on it. You can't just wing things. All right. You can get a little more away with winging things and coming at things intuitively and creatively when you have more of a business model like ProjectME, right? There's more leeway when it comes to that. So I had to figure out a way in order to get these things done as an entrepreneur, or I was not going to make money. I was going to lose clients. People wouldn't be happy. And I wouldn't even be able to function because I'd be in so much stress. And then I'd put myself in this wild response of procrastinate, procrastinate, procrastinate. And then you would see me totally riddled with anxiety on a Sunday. And then from like 5 o'clock to 2 in the morning on a Sunday, I'd be pounding through all of the stuff that I could have gotten done throughout the week in this full stress response. Then I'd have to wind down from that. But then I'd also have a high that I did get it done. And then the next couple of days, I would be in a hangover state, very similar to how you would feel, from alcohol. It's like I would just be taxed because I was using the reserves and pulling from my inner drugstore. So if you've not heard my viral podcast episode on procrastination, that procrastination is an addiction. People are shooketh over this and it will really help you. I need to have this linked in the show notes for you. So just swipe up and you'll be able to see that episode in there, and it's in the description on YouTube. That's a perfect pairing with this episode. You need to listen to it. But the point of today is I want to give you straight up hacks. And I realized I thought I had maybe like 5 when I was mapping out my notes for this. I've been dealing with this stuff for so long. And because I've coached over 150,000 people worldwide, and most of you guys are like attracts like, you are unwell in the mind. I have to get really creative to help you guys get out of your own way so that you can get the things done. And then once you start having evidence of things being done, oh my God, hold on, I have to take a break. There is a brand here, a store here. It's like Costco, but for booze. And it's called Total Wine and More. And I didn't even know they had vehicles. But as I'm talking to you, the Total Wine Mobile just pulled up. Like my neighbors must have ordered enough booze where the Total Wine people are here. That's hysterical. The stuff I see down here, and when I see it, absolutely makes me laugh. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so you can cut that out. That wasn't even necessary. I just got distracted. Don't cut it out, actually. Even keep this part in so you guys can hear this, actually. Oh, they're bringing in the April Spritz. I wanted to cut this out because I was kind of embarrassed that I went off on this thing, but like, there it is. And I don't have been diagnosed with ADHD, complex PTSD. There's a lot of things that mimic it. So I do a lot of what ADHD people do. Like, look at how distracted I got by this. And this is not like something super crazy happening outside, but it was enough to just like instantly take me off where I was going. And I then have to consciously bring myself back into my current task. And I know you guys deal with this all the time. And I wanted it cut out because it was like, I don't know. I didn't want to waste your time doing it. And then I was kind of embarrassed how excited I was seeing the Total Wine Mobile. But you needed to hear this. This happens to me all day long. So I want you to have evidence that you know that I am highly successful in what I do. I obviously get a lot done. I have 2 businesses and I have to manage my own mental health and well-being, which feels like a full-time job in of itself. And these are things that I do to bring myself back. So here's a little bonus. Even when that just happened and I am recording this to you, I could have stopped the recording completely. I could have ended up sitting here kind of spacing out. How am I going to get back in? I could have even told myself, oh, maybe I need to get some more coffee. And then I would have noticed that the counter needed to be cleaned. And then I would have had to take a poop. And then I would have been like, maybe I should put on my gym clothes. And then before 3 hours went by, now the episode's not done. And now it's going to feel heavier and heavier for me to do the episode, which I love doing, but it's just going to weigh on me because I have other things I need to do for that day. And then I was going to beat myself up for how the hell did this happen? How do we go from recording this to now it's 4 hours later and it's not done? And then beating ourselves up about something lowers our vibration, demotivates us, and that certainly doesn't help anything. So the trick that I do when it comes to this, or even in any form of content creation, I call it my newscaster trick. I pretend like we're live streaming, even though this is what we call in the industry a live to tape format. That's why it's so raw, it's so real. There's very little edited out of the episodes. We only edit when I like really get repetitive, when it's not helpful, or when we have like a guest that isn't media trained but is very helpful and we've got to kind of make it more energizing and engaging. But I pretend that we're live on the air, and you're live on the air. You better get your shit together, because now you have dead air. You won't get hired again. People are going to boo you. And so I use that to get me back. All right. Wow. That was, I don't even know what to say. You just got a peek inside my mind. And I bet you every single one of you who has a brain like this is going, oh my God, that is exactly my life. All right, let's get into this. Number one. All right. These are in no particular order. And like I said, I have more than I realized. So as long as you're telling me when you're listening this that you would love to hear more of these, I don't want to give you so many that you can't keep your focus on these. Or there's so many that then you go, I don't know which one to try first. So I'm probably going to do 5. And then if you want more, you leave a written review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You tap the 5 stars on Spotify. You take a screenshot of the episode, share it in social media, tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. You DM me on Instagram. You can message me on TikTok and let me know. That will be our indicator that you want to hear more of these. Number 1. Do something every morning, midday, and evening to deliberately calm your nervous system. And this does not need to be a long thing. Don't start going down a path of, I've got to do a 20-minute meditation, anything like that. We think, and I'm including myself in all of these because I am one of you, we think that we need to be stimulated in order to get our shit together and get more done and be more mentally sharp. And so a lot of times we'll do things to stimulate us. Okay, I'm like doing multitasking the second I wake up. I've got to get this and I got to get this and da 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 da. I'm rushing in this. I'm always late. I press snooze too many times. And it actually creates the opposite. So contrary action will get you contrary results. If you don't like the results you're currently getting by how you're operating, then we need to do the contrary of what your normal MO is. So in the morning, when you're doing your morning routine, right? I'm calling them, instead of like get ready with me, get abundant with me routine. So you are doing all of your face stuff, brushing your teeth. I either want you doing it in silence, I want it to be calming music, or it needs to be like a calming podcast. I know a lot of you guys listen to my show. There's something about my voice and the cadence of my voice that is very soothing and grounding to you. So that's a great option. Even as simple as a little practice I do where I light a candle or I light incense and I focus on my intention of the day, what I want to call in for my day, what I would love my day to feel like, not what I want to get done, but what I want it to feel like, a prayer, something that simple. I have coming out for you guys a first ever physical product from the ProjectME brand. And it is my ZFG Lifestyle Daily Journal. And this is going to be a practice that goes along with this, where it is something so simple that you're going to look forward to doing every day in literally just minutes. And it will absolutely shift you into your nervous system being in a regulated state. When we're at a regulated state, we can get more done. But that brain of yours is going to try to tell you, oh, that's too calming. That's going to make me lazy. That's going to make me too relaxed. I won't be able to get anything done because you're kind of addicted to the chaos. You're addicted to the cortisol. You're addicted to the adrenaline. And all that ends up happening is you crashing. It's not sustainable. We actually get things done in a slow and steady pace and checking things off the list. One thing is done, the next thing is done when we pace ourselves. How in the hell do you think these people are able to do a marathon? This is not a sprint in your day. Although you think if I sprint, I'll be done faster, and it seems like there's more energy behind it, but it's not sustainable, and you end up paying a price for it. So you want to make sure that you are on my Secret Posse weekly digest email list. Besides the fact it's exclusive content, you're getting behind the scenes emails from me. You are getting a weekly affirmation that is from me. Manifestation, tips and tricks, these kinds of hacks are in there for you that people love my emails. There's a reason why my open rate on my emails is 57%, which is unheard of in the industry. You know why? It's because a robot's not writing them. It's not some random stranger I've hired to write them. I am. It's coming right from Coach Tiff. So you want to make sure you're on that list. And that is also inside the show notes and in the description here on YouTube. And that's projectmewithttiffany.com/secret posse. You want to be on it because you are going to be getting the first dibs with a major celebratory introductory special bonus to go along with my first ever physical product. And you want this. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Number 2, get your more tedious, high resistance to do tasks in an unusual environment. I call them high resistant, where that doesn't mean it's hard. That doesn't mean it's even something you don't like to do. I love podcasting. I love writing to you guys. But when you procrastinate, when you're tired, when you feel you're behind, when you have all this pressure on yourself, you're creating all of these stressors, and then there's natural stressors internally, and then we compound them internally. Everything can feel hard. Sometimes even taking a shower and washing my hair can feel hard. And so high resistance tasks are ones that you notice you keep putting off, you keep putting off, you keep putting off. I want you to purposely now do those in an unusual environment, not your typical environment where you've done them before. So right now, subconsciously, maybe a little consciously, you are associating your desk, your office, even your laptop with being boring, serious, and hard work. This is kind of similar when it comes to sleep experts talking about, like, if you're tossing and turning and you can't sleep, I don't want you to stay in the bed, because then you'll associate your bed as it being hard, as it not being a pleasurable, relaxing experience. They actually want you to get up, go do something relaxing, and then when you start feeling tired again, go back to bed. So I'm using this type of strategy when it comes to getting stuff done. So I associate a lot of times a computer, like a laptop, a desktop. This is work. This is serious. This is boring. This is tasky. This is adulting. So then I started doing things like my emails from my car. I loaded up my phone with mobile versions of the apps that I use on my laptop. I will go and sit in a park or even a park bench. I've been known to sit for 2 hours outside the gym or in the parking lot of Target getting things done, because you're not in that same environment. It changes your perspective. You don't have that same level of resistance. So you got to kind of experiment and see what works. But I can tell you right now, after doing a high dopamine activity, i.e., TJ Maxx, Target, shopping, working out, then you go in your car and sit, you're like borrowing from that dopamine feeling, and you're in a different environment, and you end up getting a lot of stuff done. All right. So another idea is, instead of looking at a screen, because now you may have even associated a screen as being tiring. I'm tired of looking at a screen. I don't want to stare at a fucking screen anymore. I can get like that. And then a screen gets associated with being drained, with being mentally exhausted, with being overwhelmed. So you're going to print that shit out. If you're like, I don't have a printer, well, guess what? Printers are not expensive anymore. You can get a cheap ass black and white printer now for like $60. So you're going to print out things that you need to look at. And then you can use your cute highlighters. I just recently got these really fun. I'm showing them here on YouTube. They are glitter highlighters. These delight me tremendously, right? Get cute highlighters, cute pens. You can have a little travel pack with a fun little pen case like we used to have in school, which that also delights me. I had Lisa Frank everything. Shout out Lisa Frank. Who remembers Lisa Frank? Some of you are like, who the hell is that? Love Lisa Frank. They're bringing some of her stuff back. I'm kind of doing a Lisa Frank vibe, by the way, with this ZFG lifestyle daily journal. So you're going to have your little pen pack with you in the car, and you can print out stuff and go to a coffee shop. You don't have to be there for hours. Go for 20 minutes. And if you're like, Tiff, I've got kids, well, then you know what? Your kids can sit for 20 minutes in a coffee shop. You can get them a little something. You can, if they have to sit there and be on an iPad, fine, or give them some kind of activity for 20 minutes and you can end up getting that done. All right. Number 3, the ADHD and highly creative, multi-passionate brain thrives on multitasking since it gives you so much stimulation and you're already overstimulated. So it's like, God, why do I use math equations as analogies when I'm not a math person? And you guys can correct me if I'm way off. It's like 2 negatives equal a positive, right? It's like, so what you're doing is I'm already overstimulated in my brain. I'm giving myself extra stimulation, and therefore it evens me out. Now, obviously, we know I'm not a medical practitioner, although I've had enough years of psychotherapy where I could be one. So that's where like Adderall, why coffee, stimulants end up calming down and focusing a lot of people whose brains work that way. So you don't even have to be on the drug to create that. You can put yourself in a highly stimulated environment and situation and create it with your own inner drugstore in order to get shit done. I told you, you've not heard these things before. This is how wild my brain is. We have a saying here at ProjectME on the team. There's always a way. We always figure out a way. In fact, there's always more than one way. If we try 1 or 2 ways and I think they're too hard, they're too expensive, they don't work, I don't like the results, there's always another way. That's how we end up coming up with so many creative solutions for all of you, for my clients, is because there's always a way. Why can't there be a new way to do something? Not every single way has been thought of, has been developed, has been figured out. You can invent a new way at any given time. And then those ways end up really helping so many people. But I make sure before I share them with you guys that these have been tested and implemented by me. And I've had them tested and implemented on at least hundreds of people before I bring them to the masses, because I need to make sure I have confidence that I know this stuff works, because I never want to waste your time. So here's what you're going to do. I want you to work with the brain that you have that gets so stimulated by all the multitasking. So I want you to plan the resistant thing that you need to get done with a high pleasure task. Go and get your pedicure. While you're getting the pedicure, write 5 social media captions, write 4 emails to your email list. It's your hair appointment day that you have. I don't know. Mine's like once every 5 or 6 weeks. So, on that hair appointment day, if you have a situation like me, you've got to weave, you're getting color. This is like 3 to 4 hour situation. So then you're going to have certain things that you're doing in that period. Map out your new offer or your launch. Another thing I've been doing recently is I go live on TikTok while doing my podcast show notes, or even recording an episode or recording trainings, because you get the stimulation from being live and engaging with people while you're also getting something done. And then you can tell the people what you're doing and they encourage you to do it. It's really cool. So you could even plan a lunch date, a coffee date with a friend you haven't seen, a mentor, a partner, and this is a work date. So you both are going somewhere in person. You have allotted time. So you don't have that pressure of, oh my God, I'm going to be here all day. Maybe it's like we have 90 minutes. You can set a timer on the phone. You guys can laugh about it and you both share what your goal is to get done in that 90 minutes together. You don't even have to do this in person. You can also do this via Zoom. So I know people inside my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership that do this. There'll be like 5 of them. They'll all pick a time on Zoom and they're all co-working, but they're all on Zoom and they might laugh and be talking to each other, or they might not even really be talking. They all are drinking a coffee or whatever while they're working, but knowing that they're not alone and they're all in this space together gets people to get something done, especially when you also create like a time frame, which is why I like doing this with appointments. You're going to your kid's soccer game, their 500th fucking game for the year. I don't know how you guys do this. Truly, this is what wouldn't be approved by me. I would have approved sports that my kids could play. My kid would have to really be obsessed and talented in one of these sports where you guys have to go to 5,000 games. This is like a full-time job. This shit's wild. Like, what parent, unless you have someone who can be a stay-at-home parent, can go to all these soccer matches, all these cheer competitions? This is insane. So if I didn't have a choice or my kid loved it that much that I would just have to go, I would figure out a way. I would go, okay, I'm going to this thing. I'm going to make sure that I get this done while I'm there. I need to at least get this one thing done while I'm there. That doesn't mean you're not watching and participating. You get to multitask when they're there. You don't need to sit there the whole time and watch the field, or worse yet, watch your kid who's only playing 1/4 of the game. This is not approved by me. There are certain sports where I'd be like, yeah, you're not doing that sport. I'm encouraging you away from that particular activity. Number 4, you got to pay to slay, honey. Yes, you have got to pay to slay. This is why I love using the energy of money for us to be able to get our shit together and get shit done. Money is just a powerful energy. We know how powerful the currency of money is. It gives us freedom. It gives us option. It buys us joyful activities, experiences, luxuries. We like money. Money does a lot of good things. It helps a lot of people. And so we want to leverage that. We certainly don't want to lose money, which is what keeps a lot of you guys stuck, is the fear of something not working and investing and losing. But you're losing money by continuing to go about procrastinating and being in that same cycle and operating system you've been in. That's why I keep saying contrary action will get you contrary results. There is nothing that I have seen shock me out of a procrastination, guilt, shame cycle where I'm stuck in something and I'm like, okay, I really want to do this thing. It's not that I don't want to do it. I'm trying to force myself to do it. I know I need to do it. I know it's important to do. I genuinely do want it. I want the end result. But wanting to, knowing you need to, that's not going to cut it with people with our brains. It's just not. Because then you go into the shame of, God, I know I have to get my taxes done. And what's wrong with me? I hate that I have to do it and it's heavy and it's boring and it's stressful. No one likes it, but I know I have to do it. And then what's wrong with me? I'm a piece of shit. I'm not focused. And then it only brings you down further. So you're going to pay to slay, and it is going to pay back many times over. You want to know how I've gotten every major thing done that has brought me millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars? I pay people so that I'm accountable to them. I have 3 coaches. No joke. So they are paid. I pay, I would say $25 to $27,000 a month as a regular line item on my business. And of course, my business is tied to my personal development. Of course, they're really not separate. You can feel they are, but they're not. Your amount of abundance is absolutely directly correlated to your amount of personal development and growth that you're doing. And at this point, that dollar amount makes sense. If I didn't spend that, very little would get executed and done. I know how much I'm putting out there with paying people on my team, with paying coaches, and paying for other experiences, things like somatic healing work, stuff like that, that keep me manage my stress and keep me from going into deep fear responses and getting stuck in them. If I don't do that, you wouldn't see all the stuff that you see from me. And I know you're going, well, I'm not at that point yet to be able to spend that. It's all relative. Me spending that amount is an amount that I would be very uncomfortable and not happy to lose. And I would not want to waste it. So when I was making $17,000 a year, that was like, I would say $500 for me was major. I'm spending $500 on something. Even like something that cost me $100 a month, I was going to follow through on it and not waste it. It got me to show up because I didn't want to waste it. That would be crazy. And it pulled me out of my stuff. So you've got to look at where you're at and stretch yourself. There is nothing like getting a business loan, using PayPal credit. I had to use credit cards because no one would give me a loan. There is nothing like using that to grow your business than to get you to show up, because you're like, I've got to bring in money to pay this back, right? That's why they say you've got to have skin in the game. You doing these low ticket and free things, that's a nice place to start, but it's not going to get you moving. That's why with my private coaching, my 2-month private coaching program, and these applications are going to be closing very soon for my spring and summer applications. So you want the holy grail and you want to be able to fast track your way to somewhere, and you've spent enough time messing around, doing a little here, doing a little there, not really getting anything truly accomplished, not getting the results that you want to get. And you don't want to be wasting or burning any more time, energy, and money, then the holy grail highest level way to work with me is that 2-month private business coaching program. But yeah, it comes at a cost. So don't apply if you are not willing to put skin in the game and really show up. This doesn't mean I'm sitting there having you work 10 hours a day. That's not what this is about. It's the opposite. You are not going to be wasting time doing all sorts of busy work and hard work that isn't necessary. Everything that we do, that we customize, that we create are income generating activities. If you do not focus on bringing fresh cash into your business consistently, you don't have a business, you have a jobby, a time and energy sucking hobby, and you'll end up being demotivated, procrastinating more, and wanting to quit because you're not having any of that energy and action coming on. So this is a way to fix it. I am not putting this application link inside of my show notes. When we've done that, because the supply and demand of working with me at this level is so extreme, I only take 4 people at a time. We'll end up with hundreds and hundreds of applications. And there's a lot of people, unfortunately, who have good intentions maybe when they apply and they sound really good on paper. But then when it comes down to it, they're not at a spot where they're like, no, whatever it takes. I'll use my savings. I will use my credit cards. I'll do whatever it takes because I really want this thing to happen. And I know this is a tax write-off. I know this is a business investment. I'm not naive to think that you're going to grow a business without investing money at a certain point. You can get to a certain level with a lot of sweat equity, and then it takes up a lot of time with trial and error. But like, you've got to invest money. Any business that you can possibly think of any brand that you enjoy, there is not one that hasn't invested money. And when you're looking to grow an online business, that actually has the least amount of money that's required to invest in order to get the biggest return, which is why I think it's so exciting. So, in order to get the application, you need to DM me on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany and say, like, I'm at the spot. I want to go all in, treat my business like a true business, like a CEO, and not mess around. And I would love the application, and then I'll give it to you. Now, at the time of this recording, I have 2 spots left, and I'm going to be closing the application soon. I haven't even gone through with my team all of the applications, or those calls have not been scheduled yet. So by the time you DM me, these could be gone already for the spring, summer, but I'll let you know when you DM me. All right. Like where we're at. And again, I would just say this: only come if you're committed to doing whatever it takes. That's it. Anything less won't work if you're ready to pay to slay. I'm telling you, there is a reason I spend the amount of money I spend. I don't just randomly spend it, I strategically spend it. When you strategically invest money in your business and your life, that's when you get the major returns. Number 5, my ADHD peeps, my fellow procrastinators, this whole thing's an addiction. That's why I said you need to go pair this with the podcast episode that went viral on procrastination as an addiction. It goes perfectly with this. We get a sense of temporary relief, like taking a Xanax or drinking a glass of wine, when we say, I'll do it tonight, or I'll do it after blank, or I'll do it Monday. And then we put ourselves against the wire where we have to do it, which ignites the inner drugstore again of cortisol and an adrenal surge, which is like snorting cocaine. Not that I would know, haha, what that was like. I've done lots of things in my life. Okay. This is a tough cycle to break. So instead, I want you to work with it to get shit done. Instead of saying, I need to stop procrastinating. If I was more focused, if I was more this, you've got to work with what you currently do. Otherwise, you waiting to magically be someone different in self-will, it's just not going to work. So here's what I do. You have a doctor's appointment at 3. So you have to get this one thing done before you leave for that appointment, or you will get fired. It has to happen. Look at how long you think it will take for you to start for you to complete that task, and then start it at the last possible minute, because that's the high that your nervous system loves, and you're going to work with it. So you're like, okay, I need to make sure I get this video done, this piece of content posted. I need to make sure I get these 2 emails out. I need to call these 2 people. You are going to be more efficient because you know the clock is ticking, and you have an appointment that you can't be late to, and you don't want to be late to. And so you're working within the confines of this ticking clock time. You have a date night with the hubs, all right, or whomever. So you know you guys have reservations, let's say at 7. And by the way, who's noticed the older you get, that whole early bird special that you see that I used to make fun of old people for doing, like eating at 5:30, 6 o'clock, gets more and more and more attractive. And I know all of my Europeans listening, pretty much almost any other area outside North America. I know you guys think this is wild. You go to Spain, they don't eat dinner till like 8:30, 9:30 at night. It's very shocking to my system when I go to Europe. But I do feel the early bird special gets more and more attractive to me as I get older. All right. So you know you have that reservation at that time, and then you need to have time, obviously, to get ready before. So I know I have this tonight. There's been this thing on my plate I know I need to get done. It's a high priority task, and my reward is going to be on the date. How much better that date's going to feel, how much more relaxed I'm going to be. I'm going to be able to cheers with a cocktail and sitting there feeling a sense of accomplishment instead of having it weigh on me that all the shit I have to do the next day. So it's a high reward system that you're also doing up against the clock. I do this a lot before any travel that I have. And I notice if I don't have travel planned for that month, I actually get less done. It's better when I have travel planned every month, or I have something planned where even if it's 2 days, that I'm not going to be able to get stuff done. I have people in town, I have a speaking event, whatever it is, because I know I have to get it done before I leave. Otherwise, I'm going to not fully enjoy my time or be able to be present. And I certainly don't want to have to come back after traveling or come back after being off for a few days to even more of a pile of work and that anxiety and pressure. So I want you to use that to your advantage. And then I'm going to give you one more bonus thing, because this one's really simple. And then you can let me know by taking a screenshot, sharing this on social media, tagging me at ProjectME with Tiffany, leaving a written review on Apple Podcasts. Those really help the show, you guys. And you listening on Spotify or other players, tapping 5 stars is super helpful as well. And of course, sharing the episode on social media. But writing a written review on Apple, which right now I believe is the only platform where you can do a written review, goes a really, really long way. So I appreciate that. And then I'll know that if you want me to do another, like a part 2, because I have more hacks like this. I mean, I share these inside my Secret Posse weekly digest email list. Like, you do get the tips like this, hacks like this for manifestation, for making money, for calming stressors, from getting out of a doomsday type thinking. And that's why that email list is so popular. So make sure that you're on that. But let me know if you want more of this stuff. The bonus, talk to yourself out loud. That brain of yours is so noisy. And speaking out loud, what the hell is going on in your brain will make it less wild in there. So many of you are verbal processors, and you can't be on your phone with your bestie all day. And even your coach, right? You'd be wearing out someone you even pay. You'd be wearing out me with this wild brain, because you know how fucking crazy and wild you are. But it's like you need to vomit it out. It's like taking the pressure out of an overfilled balloon, right? It relieves the pressure when you are, it's like verbal diarrhea. It's got to come out of your mouth. So you don't need to be reliant on being able to text someone, call someone, having a coaching session with someone in order, or even a therapy session to feel better, right? I want you to be able to do this daily. So I need you to state out loud what is going on. Speak to yourself in the third person, like you have a great Olympic coach next to you, where you are swimming those laps, and you have a coach that is like getting you to stay focused and getting you to keep going when your entire body and system want to quit, and it's exhausted, right? And it's just got to happen. And you know how when you watch the Olympics, they either have some kind of like a flare gun they fire, they have a bell, they have out here when they do the heats for surfing, I don't even know what it is, like a blowhorn. They have this noise that they do during these particular heats. That can even help you, that ADHD brain. Like, get a fucking cowbell, get one of those bells. Have you seen those bells that sit on counters? They have one actually down at my favorite little beach shack place that has amazing breakfast burritos. And I love the guy who works there. And he does like the work of 25 people. So he'll be in the back making something. And there's that like bell, and you go ding, 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 or even a bell from a bike. I love my bell on my bike. Even have that. Have some, and you can get these things for really cheap off Amazon too. Have some kind of a button, something that dings, some kind of a noise, so that it kind of mimics that, and that's also very stimulating. And then you'll train your nervous system. It's go time. It's go time, baby. And so this is also what you're doing with your voice, that it's go time. So my fitness trainer, my coach, he will say, he laughs because he'll hear me across the gym talking to myself. All right, let's go, Tiff. We're going. You know, it's like I'm on set 3. The last thing I want to do is this tedious fucking shit, because that's a lot of the times that's what gets the results, right? It's tedious. I would never do it if I was on my own, which is why I pay him, which is why I need to go somewhere, which is why I don't work out at home because I know what works for me. But even though I'm in that environment, I still go, all right, Tiff, let's go. Okay, we're going. We're starting. It's happening. Let's do this now. Go. And then I go and do it. So I know it feels I would want you to say stuff like, I know it feels like a lot right now. You don't feel like doing this. I know you feel overwhelmed. I know you feel frozen. I know you feel like you're so far behind and you can't catch up and you procrastinated for so long. And now you have all these things to do. And it's okay. It's happening. We're doing it. Slow and steady always wins. Anyone who does any race slow and steady always finishes. And there's a less likely of a chance of getting injured. We're simply doing the next indicated thing. No one is chasing us. Done is better than perfect. It's happening. We're doing it. Bing, let's go. Let's just do it. One thing at a time. Bing, let's go. And I talk to myself constantly. So if you're like, God, people are going to think I'm nuts. Well, guess what? Now at least they know. Now at least it's confirmed. You can mumble it. Sometimes I mumble it. But usually I'm saying it out loud, just like a coach would. You know what? I know you don't want to do it. I know it's the last thing you want to do. I get that you don't feel like doing anything. And guess what? It's happening. Let's go. We're doing it. And then you'll be able to actually enjoy your relaxation time later because you're not going to be sitting there berating yourself for all the stuff you haven't done and have anxiety for all the extra stuff you'll now have to do the next day. Let's go. It's happening. We're doing it. So anything you have resistance for, whether it's sending me that DM on Instagram where you're like, no, I know I need Tiffany. I need her brain. I need her strategy. I need everything to be customized in order for me to grow my business. I don't want to be in the slow boat anymore. I want to move this along. I want to get out of my own way. I'm willing to pay to slay. I'm a little nervous. I'm scared. Maybe she won't think I'm a good fit. Maybe she's not going to accept my application. Maybe I'm not far enough along yet to work with her. Maybe she's going to be like $100,000. I am not $100,000. I am far less than anyone ever thinks that I'm going to be to work with me. And it's not because I undervalue myself. What I teach is we don't need to charge extravagant or extreme prices in order for us to make millions of dollars. Now, do I charge what I feel feels good to me for all of my years of expertise and the results that I have and all the receipts that I have? Yes. But anyone who is even half as accomplished as me with half the receipts, they're charging 4 times that, which I know can also scare people and can make you not take action. So you have to talk to yourself, right? Like, that's just an excuse I'm giving myself. I feel good listening to Tiffany's teachings. I get so much out of her free stuff. I get so much out of being in even some of her other stuff. I've wasted so much time. What's it going to be? How much is that going to cost me to continue zigzagging around, kicking the can down the road? Enough's enough already. We're going to be halfway through this fucking year before you know it. Like, how do you want to end this year? I know I would want to. I know I'm having a rich babe summer. I don't know about you, but you're either setting yourself up to get what you want and have what you want, or you're setting yourself up to be further stuck and stay in resistance and not have what you want. And the rest is up to you. I just gave you incredible tools that there's no way you can't start doing. And instead of judging yourself of, I really do need someone one-on-one, I really do need that in order for me to show up. That's okay. This doesn't make you less capable of a entrepreneur. This doesn't make you lazy. This doesn't make you anything, right? It's just what you need as an individual to be successful. Would you say to a kid that you know you have to get a private tutor for multiple subjects that they struggle with, that they're a piece of shit and they're dumb and they're never going to accomplish anything because they need a math tutor and they need a tutor for history and they need help with science? God, I hope not. It's just because of the way that they learn. In fact, a lot of times those are end up being the most successful and brilliant people. I'm someone who needs one-on-one or really highly specific small group focus for me to be incentivized and motivated to show up and for me to feel accountable and seen. So I wouldn't want to let that particular coach, that particular teacher down. And I need to be able to have things customized for me versus general advice, because general advice, that's going to work for some people and not work for some people. I want to guarantee it's going to work for me by having it customized to my unique personality, my way of being, my talents, my strengths, the areas that are challenging for me, my type of business. And I'm willing to pay to slay. I'm willing to do things in a different way in order to get the results that I want. All of this is here for you. Stop telling yourself a different story. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.